Last week, I attended my 4th ACC 2026 in New Orleans, one of my favorite conferences of the year. It's one of those opportunities where different segments of cardiology innovation come together around a shared goal: preventing and improving cardiovascular care. As I was sitting in a few of the educational sessions, it really had me thinking that the most important issue in cardiology is still access to care. And despite the level of innovation and advances in technology, this year felt more focused than ever. Not just on innovation, but on where it actually translates into outcomes, access, and scale. At a high level, the cardiology device market continues to grow so rapidly, with the market at $70 billion today and projected to reach about $139 billion by 2034. But what stood out wasn't just the size, it's how tightly capital and innovation are aligning around a few very specific problem areas. The first, structural heart, and more specifically, where the gap still exists. Right now, you have aortic regurgitation, tricuspid, and mitral. They remain major areas of focus. We've seen strong progress in TAVR, but aortic regurgitation is still very underserved. That's where a company like JenaValve really stands out as one of the only platforms purpose-built for TAVR and AR. At the same time, more established segments like left atrial appendage closure continue to scale quickly, showing how fast adoption can follow once clinical and commercial pathways are defined. The second and likely biggest theme is the growing connection between imaging and intervention. Imaging is moving more upstream. It's no longer just diagnostic, but becoming the decision engine. You see that with companies like Cleerly, pushing AI-driven plaque analysis, and groups like Ultromics, using AI to detect conditions like heart failure earlier than ever with echocardiography. That's increasingly tied directly into procedural planning and treatment pathways. It's also where partnerships across imaging, devices, and groups like Mentice are becoming more strategic, often playing a silent but critical part in enabling these procedures. The third theme is renal denervation. This is one of the fastest growing areas right now, with the market expected to scale roughly about $3 to $4 billion by 2030. There's continued momentum as companies look for more durable, scalable approaches to treating hypertension. Medtronic and Boston continue to lead, but companies like DeepQure are also interesting as the space evolves, especially as they're the first extravascular laparoscopic approach in how we identify patients earlier and connect them to therapy in a more data-driven way. Another area that stood out is the move toward continuous monitoring, and where the shift really is focused on the ease of use, access, and ultimately driving patient compliance. Biobeat, they are a strong example, especially with its ability to capture overnight, nocturnal, and early morning hypertension, which have historically been very undermeasured. They're also one of the first cuffless continuous monitoring platforms designed for long-term use, with validation against gold standard ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. Alongside that, companies like AliveCor continue to expand access to ECG monitoring in a more scalable, patient-friendly way. As more focus shifts to longitudinal data, that opens the door for earlier detection and more targeted intervention, but again, with improved patient compliance, which is key here. Stepping back, capital is moving toward platforms that connect data, decision-making, and intervention, and can ultimately scale commercially. So overall, after my day at ACC, it really wasn't about one breakthrough technology. It was about aligning between imaging and intervention, devices and data, and innovation and access. What will be interesting over the next 12 to 24 months is which of these platforms can convert that alignment into durable clinical adoption and scalable commercial models. That's likely where we're going to see the next wave of strategic acquisition and outsized value creation will come from. Curious what others saw this year and which companies you think are best positioned as the next phase plays out. And if I missed anything, drop a comment below. I look forward to next year.